Hello, this is Philosophical Rebellion. Donald Trump is a war criminal who started this war with Iran by bombing a school of over 150 little children. He took over as president and had the Department of War get rid of rules that they called woke and offices devoted to protecting civilians, saying that they were trying to untie the hands of the war fighters to facilitate maximum lethality instead of tepid legality. So Donald Trump took over as president, got rid of protections for civilians in wartime, launched an offensive war, and bombed a school full of children on the first day. Donald Trump is the exact type of war criminal that the whole international law system was supposed to prosecute and hold accountable. The International Criminal Court would be able to indict and try Donald Trump if the United States upheld international law. But we do not, so when we have American war criminals, they're allowed to continue committing war crimes. And that's exactly what's going to happen with Donald Trump. So before we have tens of thousands of American casualties in the Middle East, we need Congress to step in and, using the War Powers Resolution, withdraw the American troops and military from the Middle East. And the way out of this is for the United States to finally join on to the International Criminal Court. We need to hold our own war criminals accountable by upholding international law. So let's remember why we are in this war in the first place, because Donald Trump did not choose to go to war. He was dragged into it. Both Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, and Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, said that Israel was committed to act to start a war against Iran with or without the United States. So Donald Trump did not choose to go to war. Benjamin Netanyahu chose to go to war. Israel started this war, and the United States was dragged along into it. And the reason Benjamin Netanyahu chose to start this war is because he is on a historic and spiritual mission to create Greater Israel, which is his vision of the territory in the Middle East that he wants to conquer. We watched Israel commit a genocide over the last few years. This war is the next stage of Benjamin Netanyahu's plan. The United States was tasked with weakening Iran. Israel is focused on annexing the West Bank, Gaza, and southern Lebanon. So Israel started this war and is now annexing that territory while Donald Trump was dragged into this war, which Marco Rubio described as acting preemptively in a defensive way. And now, a month after Donald Trump said that we had already won in the first hour, after Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump have said over and over and over that they have achieved complete air supremacy, Iran just shot down 2 American planes, and they have destroyed 13 bases throughout the Middle East so thoroughly that American troops are no longer being deployed to those bases, but are instead being put in hotels. And American aircraft are being targeted by Iran while they are in Saudi Arabia. And Iranian missiles are still hitting Israel every single day. What we are being told about this war is not true, and it is important for every single American to speak out about it right now. Find out who your representatives are and let them know that you do not support this war. Whether it's an email or a phone call or a social media post, speak out in opposition to this war right now. Because not only is Donald Trump going to commit thousands of American troops to the conflict, resulting in thousands of casualties to American service members, he is also ordering them to bomb children in their schools. So remember back on George Bush's War on Terror conflicts. We actually had more American soldiers take their own lives when they got back. More American veterans died from those conflicts through suicide than died in those conflicts. So when Donald Trump is ordering American service members to go commit war crime after war crime, it's not just if they are going to be injured in war. These people are going to have to live with the knowledge for the rest of their lives that they hit the button that dropped the bomb that murdered a school full of children. That order came from Donald Trump. And that's because Donald Trump is most likely compromised by the Israeli government. Not only did Donald Trump take over $250 million from the Israel lobby before he got elected to his second term, he was also best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for years. Jeffrey Epstein worked with the Israeli government to collect blackmail on powerful people in the United States. Donald Trump has spent the last year trying to cover up and bury the Epstein story. He had Pam Bondi meet with a bunch of right-wing influencers and give them binders of Epstein files, which was all previously disclosed information. Then Pam Bondi said she had the Epstein client list on her desk, then said there was no client list and that she was closing the investigation. Then Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie tried to create the Epstein Files Transparency Act. And Donald Trump relentlessly attacked Thomas Massie, Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert, and Marjorie Taylor Greene for voting in favor of the discharge petition for that bill. And then Pam Bondi completely violated the Epstein Files Transparency Act deadline and kept terabyte after terabyte of Epstein file information that was demanded to be released to the public, redacted, illegally, in violation of the law. Then in February, right before the Iran war came out, some of the files Pam Bondi had been withholding were disclosed, and they contained rape accusations against Donald Trump. Donald Trump was accused of forcing a 13-year-old to perform oral sex on him. And he was accused by a limo driver of talking to a guy named Jeffrey on the phone about getting rid of a girl who he assaulted. So what we know is that Jeffrey Epstein worked with the Israeli government to compromise powerful people in America. Jeffrey Epstein was extremely close to Donald Trump for multiple years. Donald Trump tried very hard to stop the Epstein files from coming out, and Donald Trump is named in the Epstein files as a sexual assailant of more than one person. So not only is Donald Trump loyal to Israel because of all the campaign contributions he got from people like Miriam Adelson, he is also most likely compromised by the Israeli government because Jeffrey Epstein collected blackmail on Donald Trump. So America is at war with Iran because Benjamin Netanyahu was starting an offensive war of territorial conquest because he is a religious fundamentalist committed to his vision of greater Israel. Donald Trump fell in line and accepted Benjamin Netanyahu's orders because he took massive bribes from the Israel lobby to support their wars and is most likely compromised by them with blackmail of his sexual assault of children. Donald Trump is the dude who had the pussy tape where he bragged on tape about forcing himself on multiple different women. And in a Howard Stern interview, he bragged about snooping on teenagers changing in their dressing rooms. So Donald Trump, the guy who forced himself on many women and snooped on teenagers, is accused of the Epstein files of sexually assaulting a child. He is the exact type of person to do that. And there's one last portion I want to get to. Genuinely, for a long time, I didn't want to follow the Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories. But I am past to that point. I believe Charlie Kirk was assassinated by pro-Israel Zionists because he was turning against the Israel lobby. I think Charlie Kirk was advocating very strongly against the war with Iran, and he was assassinated for that reason. And one of the biggest factors that changed my mind was the resignation of Joe Kent, who resigned from the Donald Trump administration in opposition to the Iran war. One of the craziest things he said was that Charlie Kirk went to the White House to advocate against the Iran war. And the last thing he ever said to Joe Kent was, "Don't let us go to war with Iran." And when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and he tried to look into foreign involvement in Charlie Kirk's assassination, he was ordered not to continue those investigations. He was shut out of investigating foreign involvement in Charlie Kirk's assassination. So right now, Donald Trump is taking us to war, and he is pleasing people like Lindsey Graham, who said that until our dying day, he will be loyal to Israel. Mike Huckabee, who believes that modern-day Jewish Israelis are biblically entitled to take over huge portions of the Middle East, and Benjamin Netanyahu. This is a religious fundamentalist war of aggression. Donald Trump is allowing evangelical and Jewish Zionists to launch a war using the United States military, and Donald Trump is sacrificing American troops for his own personal interests. Congress needs to act right now, invoke the War Powers Resolution, and withdraw American troops from Iran. The United States needs to agree to join the International Criminal Court and hold our own war criminals accountable. We should not be putting American troops in harm's way for this war. This is a mistake. Operation Epic Fury was a mistake from day one. Donald Trump is a war criminal, and America needs to wake up.